Today, I'm with a trailblazer in his own right, a lawyer come politician who is known for his popular performance. Piki, piki, ponki, pakamielo disco. Wakili, that's how you are doing it. Wakili Willis Otieno. Good morning, Wakili.
Good morning to you.
How are you feeling? How are you doing?
I'm glad to have you here and for you to host me at your show.
Yeah.
I'm very honored.
We are as well.
Yes.
Beautiful office face.
Thank you very much.
So, Wakili, we want to know who Willis Otieno is outside the courtroom, you know.
Willis Otieno is, I call myself an old young man from Alego. Alego is where Barack Obama comes from. So the DNA is good leadership. That's what we believe in. I was born in 1982 in Kisumu. My parents used to live in Kisumu. My father was a railway worker, and my mom was a trader in the local Kibuye market. I went to school in Kibuye Mixed Primary School. Then I went to high school in Game Constituency, a school called Malira Boys High School. And I did my LLB at Moi University, Eldoret. Thereafter, I pursued a master's in law from the University of Nairobi. So I'm now a legal practitioner, and I enjoy practicing law in our courts, and more so to represent the vulnerable in our society, and to take up what is styled as public law cases. That is where you are holding people who are in office, public office, to account for their actions, especially if those actions are contrary to the Constitution and the law. So by and large,
Can I stop you there?
Yes.
I want to know, firstly, how was growing up for you? Do you come from a family of hustlers like all politicians?
No, I can't say I come from a family of hustlers, because the hustler term has been abused in this country to an extent that people's struggles is used to define them, who they are. As I've told you, my dad was a railway worker, and my mom was a trader in the Kibuye market. It's like the Mirikiti of Nairobi, or Gikomba, so to speak, but a bit smaller. So our family was not a well-to-do family. I'll call it low-income earning. Yeah, we were the working class. Dad is one of the many railway workers when railway was railways. It's no longer railways nowadays. Now it's called SGR and doesn't employ many people as it was back in the day. So even the school I went to, I've studied only in public schools. I've never gone to a private school in my life. And so I will not say that I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, but I'll also not say that I was born in penury. Because one thing that our parents, I saw them do, they made sure that even when things were thick, even when my dad lost his job through retrenchment in 1995, they made sure that at least they tried to shield us from that, and they will offer at least a basic meal in a day to the family. So I will not go the cliche way of saying, oh, we struggle as children. Of course, my parents struggled, but as a child, what struggle was I engaging in? I was not doing any economic activity that will earn the family any money. The most I ever did was when we were in high school, to go to the garden to farm every morning. We'll go early in the morning at 5:30. You go to till. Then in the afternoon, after going from the garden, you could go to the stream. Now we'll collect water from the stream, not the taps, and you carry it on your head using a bucket back home. So you're supposed to fill a drum of 100 liters. Yeah? So you have to make several trips, because one door carries 20 liters. So you have to make 5 trips before you are anywhere near filling that drum. Then in the afternoon, you'll go herding cows. And I'm a very good herds boy, by the way. My cows were the best, well-fed, very strong. And I believe my dad made some money whenever he took any of the cows from my herd to sell in the local market. Because that is how we even raised school fees, from sales of whatever little that the family could get. But so it was not rosy, but it was not also painful.
Are you a first one?
No. I'm the 5th born in a family of 6, but I'm the last boy in our family. We are 4 boys and 2 girls. So the first is a lady and the last also is a lady.
Interesting.
Yes.
You're such a high achiever. So why law? Why law? Did it choose you? Did you choose the career?
I think I was born to be a lawyer. Okay. And even if I was not a lawyer, I will be a lawyer again in another life. Okay. And I say that because When I was young, so growing up in the estate, I mean, where we grew up was a low-income estate. Many young people, families, and many children. And we were living in blocks, these flats. Nowadays, Nairobi, you call them apartments. But in Kisumu, they are called flats. So there were over 30 flats in that housing estate. So growing up with my peers, whenever they came to tell me a story, I will start telling the story and say, you're asking too many questions. I'm not in a courtroom. Because I came to tell you a story. Just listen to my story and let it rest. But I was very inquisitive. I want to know the story behind the story. So if you told me anything, rest assured that I will cross-examine. So my art of cross-examination started at that early age. At this age, from age 6, because from my recollection, this resistance to my cross-examination was at its peak when I was in nursery school. And then lower primary, they were very aware that I'm asking too many questions. And I was very vocal when it came to unfair treatment of my friends. And more so if, for example, a parent was to punish a child who had not committed a wrong. I'll be the one protesting that you are punishing the wrong person. Because as kids, sometimes you are playing in the estate and somebody has kicked a ball and it has hit the window of some house. So the mother of the house will come out and grab the first kid that she comes across. And that time corporal punishment was liberally administered in this country. It's no longer being administered so liberal. And I will stand up and say, no, you are punishing the wrong person. The person who kicked the ball was X. Why is Y being punished? And I will say, no, you must go for the person who committed the offense of breaking the window. But then you will notice that in most cases, by the time the ball hits the window, the offender will be 100 meters away running. So that is why our frustrated mothers will go for the easy pick. And the easy pick will be the slowest in the group, or the one who was not aware of which offense had just been committed. So even me, if I was running away, I will come back to defend the weakling who is an innocent victim of glass breakage. But that was me. So I did have a passion for law. I mean, for issues of fairness and justice at a very fairly young age. And so it was natural that when I finished my high school, my first career choice was to be a lawyer. My second career choice was to be a teacher. I loved English literature. And I believed that literature has a way of telling stories about people, about communities, about their oral traditions, about their expressions. So I was very passionate about literature, English literature in particular. And my third career choice was to have been a scribe. I would have been a journalist. And I was hoping that one day I will be given a column in the newspapers to be writing or reporting stories as they happen.
I'm actually surprised that you don't write.
I mean, things happen. The media has not seen it right of me to be in this space. But I loved writing.
You can write we can hire you.
Yeah, I can do that at a fairly reasonable cost. I can be writing in your columns.
Or websites.
Yes. But I used to write a lot. Even in school, I was the editor, high school. I was the editor of the school magazine. So those were my three career choices. And interestingly, in school, I was an editor of the school magazine. Post high school, I was hired as what they call the BMO teacher. I mean, these are board of management. So you are not a trained teacher, so to speak. You have to hold fort at a local secondary school in Bondo constituency. So I was teaching English literature, and I was teaching from Form 1 to Form 4. And I did that for 7 months. And my students were, I believe, the best in that school. And English, the quality of English and even their grades improved tremendously. The love of English in that school was phenomenal. So now I'm an advocate, I'm a lawyer. So it means that of all my three career choices, I've met all of them. I've been an editor for a newspaper, news magazine for school. I've been a school teacher, English, which I taught at Majengo Secondary School. And now I'm a lawyer. So I believe I've served what was my primary.
Okay, I'm seeing politics was not in the
No, politics came later.
Yeah.
And my first call to politics was, I do remember there's a time when we were in Form 3, and my classmates remind me of that until today. And there was, the unit we were being taught was about careers. And there was this teacher, she was a student at Kenyatta University doing her teaching practice. And even a supervisor had come that day to supervise her. And she was asking everybody just to talk about the career choices you want. And I said, I want to be a politician. And everybody in class burst out laughing. So they say that, politics is not a career. You must choose something, be something else before you become a politician, which is wrong. I believe if you want to be a politician from age 20, you should be a politician. Yeah. But then I said, okay, then I'll take these 3. But politics, the bag was there. But significantly, my first interaction with politics and what I can say now, getting into elective politics, was at Moi University. When I was in first year, we had just joined campus, and the status of that campus at the time, Eldoret West campus of Moi University, it was deplorable. We had a university that had over 3,000, campus that had over 3,000 students, and there was the library was a makeshift library. It was formerly a warehouse used by Kenya Ports Authority to store containers. So they had fashioned a corner of the library. It could barely fit in a 20 by 20 room where they had put bookshelves. And even the bookshelves there were not enough books. Those shelves, most of them were empty. And so for us to go to study, we had to be taken to the main campus where they have a very magnificent library called the Margaret Thatcher Library. It was built by the UK government and named after Margaret Thatcher. So we started asking questions, but why we are here, we are paying school fees, and why are we not getting a university library? That for me to study, access books, I must travel over 40 kilometers away. Why can they transfer some of those, have a mobile library? Why can't the books be brought to our library? And the university administration was adamant. And we agitated. That time now I was in full-time student activism. And we used to call for kamukunjis at the campus, demanding for libraries. And at one point I remember, we were at a demonstration in campus, and I was standing atop the gate with my arms spread, telling the university administration that we are the golden goose that lays the golden eggs. If you will not give us a proper library, then we shall burn down this entire university. We start afresh. Learning will come to a standstill until the time you are ready for us. And through that agitation, we were able to, they had to improve the facilities of the library. We got a proper library, a bit better than what we had found. Then they even bought a university bus for the students so that it will be shuttling every day between our campus and the main campus. So for those who are not able to, whatever books you want to access are not in the campus, you have to go to the main campus. And at that time, the internet was not as vibrant as it is today. So in terms of research and reading, you had to rely on the hardcover books to even access knowledge. So nobody should even say that, why didn't you use the internet? The internet is a recent phenomenon that at the time was not as recent, as vibrant as it is today. We went to university when Moi was still the president. So this internet vibrancy you're seeing, these were some of I call them, the milestones of Kibaki's government, because he's the one who came up with the cyber optic and opened up our internet space in the country. That time we didn't have even the cyber optic cables which were laid and spread across. So that is, we take it for granted that you can even just at the touch of a button on your phone, you can access any kind of information. So it's an internet revolution. But at that time, it was hardcover books, and you had to look for the hardcover. So the university administration ceded to our demands, and the library was equipped. A bus was provided. Then when the elections were held towards the end of that year, the second semester in my first year, I offered myself to be the Assistant Secretary General. In fact, it was by popular demand that the ground ikasema that the kind of leader we want is the fearless one who has the courage and does not fear even being penalized by the administration. So people demanded of me to run to be their Assistant Secretary General. And I ran against a third-year student. And of all the seats that were being contested, mine was the hotly contested. but I got the most votes. Because here you had a first-year student in his second, because the elections are done in the second semester. In his second semester, he's offering himself and against third year, who was the incumbent actually, has longer history in the university. He's also a student leader who was very powerful and strong in his own right. But with my rhetoric and popular demand, we floored him, and I became the student leader in that campus. Beyond that, because it was straight, everybody knew that I was poised to be the chair of the Students' Union. And we did a lot. You know, if you talk to anybody who was in Moi University at the time, particularly Eldoret West Campus, they'll tell you our exploits and how militant we were and non-compromising. We were very clear that it was about students' welfare, and at the university, the number one issue was the student, number two was the student, number three was the student. Then number four, you can start talking about the other stuff. Because without the students, there will be no university. Yeah. And that was my mantra. It is student first, second, and third. Then we can list the other staff members and other issues at the university. So I believe that is what my colleagues and peers saw in me, and they honored me to serve them. So in the course of service, because the university administration was not happy about my activism, and so at some point the University Senate decided to pass a policy, a rule, that you can only serve as a student leader for one term. So, and it was targeted at me in particular. So I said, that's okay, no problem. But any rule that is passed applies prospectively, not retrospectively. So I have not served my one term from the day the rule is passed, because if I knew that there's a rule to that effect, I would not have gone for deputy. I would have gone straight away for the chairmanship of the Secretary General of the Union. But they said, no. So there was a strike.
How long was that term?
A term was 1 year, for one academic year. So I said I would have waited, or I would have just gone straight for the big seats. But then in between there was a strike at the university, students were sent away. So when we came back, they quickly cleared the candidates, and they declared that elections had been held. We were blocked from contesting. We didn't meet the qualifications, since I had served, for example, myself. I had served with the outgoing council. So that was it. Beyond that, then now I know in between, when I talk about so the university was closed, I was also suspended from the university for 1 year. So it was not just the rule, it was followed by a suspension for 1 year from the university. In fact, I always say I should go back and sue my university one day, because they interfered with my right to education. It was purely politics. But that is the price you pay when you are called to serve the people. So you must be ready to take some of the thorns that will be thrown your way. So I came back to university and finished. At that time now I decided to play what we were calling the elder statesman role. Because when I came back now to university, my peers, the ones I was in class, were now finalizing. So I joined the group that was behind us. So I could not start again competing against these young kids whom I'm the one who had also inaugurated the university. So I was more like now an advisor. So I became a political advisor, what you can call a kingmaker. So, and I organized the campus elections very well, and I believe my team, all of them actually, won the seats they were going for. So that point now I transcended beyond university politics. So I developed a keen interest in national politics, and now here we are. And I always say, the choice is very clear. My national interest at this point, the last election, Jimmy Wanjigi had invited me to be his running mate in the elections. And I was greatly honored that he had seen my strength and skills. And he offered me that hallowed position, which I took with gusto. Save for Uhuru Kenyatta blocking us from being on the ballot, I believe today I will be the deputy president of this country. Because if you ask, and even ask your viewers, between Willis Otieno and Rigathi Gachagua, with all due respect, who's in terms of conduct and speech and comportment deserves to be the deputy president of this republic? And I believe the people of Kenya will have their say one day. And they'll have to choose between myself and the current deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua. And unanimously, I can tell you, that's an election that I will win very early in the morning. Because my quest for leadership is not a quest or based on a raging personal ambition or a desire to acquire any property or any wealth. It's a quest to change the living conditions of our people. Kenya is going through an economic revolution. We've had 2 revolutions so far in this country. The first one was the fight for independence in 1963, which Jomo Kenyatta, Jaramogi Odinga, Tom Mboya and the others fought for hardly, and they won. The second liberation was a liberation for our political rights. At the time, the ruling elite had decided that you could only belong to KANU. It was Chama cha Baba na Mama. And there was only one party state in the country, and people fought to liberate the country from that one partyism. And that fight was led by the likes of Kenneth Matiba, Charles Rubia, Raila Odinga, Masinde Muliro, Mwai Kibaki also joined them at some point, James Orengo, Kiraitu Murungi. So there were people who fought for the second liberation of this country. And we got our political rights. And I do believe that in terms of political liberation, we achieved that fully in 2010 when the people of Kenya, in peacetime, enacted and gave unto themselves the new constitution, the 2010 Constitution of Kenya, that specifically even anchored the political rights in Article 38. They now belong to everybody. I believe we'll never go back to the Moi days of one-party state.
Speaking of Azimio,
yes.
Wakili, I know that you've worked for the former Prime Minister at some point.
Yes.
I'd love to know how you met, even
yes.
how you met Wanjiku.
Yeah. So Baba is a phenomenal leader, and I really respect him for the contribution he has made to this country. The scars that he bear were scars which were earned in fighting to liberate this country. So, and that is why I say Baba is the hero of the second liberation. I mean, he was detained for 9 years. And part of that detention was to agitate for political rights of Kenyans. So he is a hero that this country must celebrate when he's still alive, and even if he's not there. You asked me how I met Baba. I met Baba for the first time now at close range. I'd met him, I'd interacted with him before when I was a student in student politics and even post-university. But we had not been formally or properly introduced as close associates. So I met him for the first time in 2017. And Jimmy Wanjigi who took me to Baba. At the time I was doing an assignment in Mozambique to help the Renamo and Frelimo. They had a contested election, and the peace process in that country was on the brink of collapse, and there was a threat to go back to armed conflict. So I'd been pointed out as one of the experts, legal experts, to help in terms of bringing together the new process that will ensure peace in that country. And I do believe largely that intervention worked. So in the course of that assignment, I met Jimmy Wanjigi, who, it was on a Tuesday, I met him at Caramel, Westlands, ABC Place. So a mutual friend introduces us, and we are talking and generally just discussing elections and elections processes. And in 5 minutes, Jimmy tells me, "You're so passionate about elections. You actually are a campaign manager." So I'm wondering what campaign manager is talking about. I said, yeah, you are the one. I was doing a case that time, the case of Maina Kiai. Every time you hear election petitions, the word Maina Kiai is mentioned. That is the case I'm the one who conceptualized, and I was doing it at the time. I said, you see, you know how to think about elections. You know how to think end to end. Let's meet Baba on Saturday. Baba was being unveiled as the NASA candidate on Thursday at Uhuru Park. So Saturday, early in the morning, I go to Karen, and ODM nominations also taking place. So you can imagine how ODM nominations are. People are fighting everywhere. Candidates are all complaining. Winners want their certificate. So you go to Baba's place from the barrier to Ngong Road. There are so many people. It's like a political rally. Many cars. You cannot even drive. You have to overlap to get to the barrier. So I get to the barrier and I'm allowed in. I introduce myself. My name had been left at the gate. So I go in and I meet Baba, sitting with Jimmy Wanjigi, and then Winnie Odinga also joined us. And we start talking generally about elections, and Baba gets to know about where I come from, what I do. He told me, he told Jimmy, brother, you chose right. You chose right. He's the right energy to head our campaign. So I'm like, what is Baba talking about? Yeah, you are the campaign manager. So Baba appoints me as the campaign manager, and Jimmy is my witness. Winnie is there also witnessing. Baba saying that, so you have to come to the office on Monday. So on Monday we go. Our office used to be at Church Road. That was the secretariat. So we worked with Baba in the 2017 elections. I was head of his campaign secretariat. And I do believe that we largely delivered on our mandate, to the extent that even in terms of the returns, out of 40,000 polling stations, we were able to get 26,000 polling stations from 34As returned to the tallying center. And you know that happened even after the state had raided our initial tallying center, which was somewhere on Eldama Ravine Road. And they tried to disrupt all our elections preparations. 2 weeks, in fact 1 week to the elections date. But despite those handicaps and the challenges from the state, we delivered what in my view was a very successful campaign. The highlight of that campaign was on 30th of January, 2018. Jimmy had tasked me the responsibility that really, since we won the elections and the Supreme Court affirmed our victory, as a lawyer and the campaign manager, you know what needs to be done next. So it means we have a president, yes. You must swear in your president. So he tasked me the responsibility to go and draft an oath that will capture the spirit of the people in it. So I drafted the 54-word oath, which was administered by Miguna at Uhuru Park. And Baba, in true character, did not disappoint. On 30th of January at 1 p.m., Baba was at Uhuru Park, courageously, fearlessly, taking the oath of office as the people's president of the Republic of Kenya. Beyond that, there were arrests of several of NASA leaders, including Miguna himself, who was that time in NRM. He was deported. Of course, nobody arrested me. I believe the Spirit of God was with me. So when I was writing that oath, it was God who led me to write that oath in the way it was written. And when we're now planning, because once you have a president, the next step is to take him to State House. Because our president, no, the State House is the people's house. It's called the State House, people's house. Okay. So as we were planning to take our president to State House, March 9th happened. And Baba shook Uhuru's hands on the footsteps of Harambee House. So we had to abandon our mission and plans. And we had very serious plans to deliver Baba to State House. And we believed that the people having elected him as their president, and the highest court, Supreme Court of Kenya, having affirmed that his election was stolen. Because when they nullified Uhuru's election, it was an affirmation that Uhuru had lost. He had just stolen Baba's victory. So as the campaign manager, my role was now to deliver him to State House and assume the office of president. But be that as it may, I believe there were other players, and both local and international, who put pressure on the two leaders, and they shook hands. So at that point, on the 9th of March, I considered my work to be done, because then now there was nowhere to take my candidate to occupy. He had gone to Harambee Avenue, Harambee House.
Did you know? Did you guys know?
No, we didn't know.
Shocked, like the rest
We were shocked. Of course, we knew there had been entreaties from Uhuru's people to Baba, but we had not known of the particulars of that handshake and when it was happening. We also just came to learn about it, like everybody else. I was disappointed because in my mind, I always believe when I start something, I must finish it. And having sworn in my president, and I believe Baba was my president, I never recognized Uhuru's second term as president. My president needed to have slept in State House. So I was a bit disappointed when we ended up at Harambee House. So Harambee House is just the office, but you can run the state from State House. But be that as it may, you let go. You cannot mourn more than the bereaved. Even if you are in a funeral, you can't be seen to be the one wailing more than the loudest, more than the bereaved family. So if Baba, being our leader, had ceded to the peace request and the need to reconcile the nation through the handshake, who was I to now go? I couldn't take myself to State House. So I considered myself had finished, mission accomplished. And I came back to private practice.
Okay, that's a beautiful journey. I want to know, I've seen you host the Willis Otieno Cup. It's called
football cup. Picky Ponky tournament. Yes.
So what's next for Willis? What's your plan?
What's my plan? You see now, I jumped the gun. I should have gone stages.
Okay.
And my last parting shot to Kenyans. You had 1 year of Kenya Kwanza. If your life is better this year than it was 1 year ago, then you have the right government in place. But if your life is becoming more miserable or more painful this year than it was last year, then you have Jimmy Willie, the supply side economists, as the next drivers of this economic liberation.
So it's next
the last
for you
and
final.
I am going for the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. And the only person I'm competing against is the current Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua. It is me and him. Mimi na yeye. Unyo kwa unyo. Let the best man win. If he wins, I'll shake his hands. When I win, he will come to congratulate me.
Can't wait to see how that pans out. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Thank you. I hope we'll have a longer session someday.
We should.
Yes.
We should. You're quite the storyteller.